Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. My salutations to the great teacher Shankaracharya and the embodiment of divine, the Badarayana Vyasa. I salute the one who composed the Brahma Sutras or the Vedanta aphorisms, as well as Shankaracharya, who has written the great commentary on it. Dear friends, last Wednesday was the birth anniversary of the great teacher Shankaracharya, who brought forth the essence of the Vedanta doctrine and has done a great work of harmonizing all various religious ideas and the different rituals that people do under the name of religion, and many types of ideas, assumptions, doctrines together, weaved them together and gave a synthetic look and showed a path of evolution for everyone. The religion is for everyone. The goal is the same for everyone. Although the starting point for a person differs, the physical, psychological constitutions, they differ. And therefore, although end point is the same, the starting points for people, they are not same. Also the paths they will be taking up are not same. So the beauty and the greatness of Shankaracharya's presentation is that he told everyone that whatever you are doing, just connect it to the goal, and then that is fine. See that your worship, your religious practice is connected to the realization of your true self, and that he did it in a very masterful manner. Today we will be seeing just a very small part of the big voluminous work of Shankaracharya, the commentaries that he has written, as well as the devotional hymns that he has composed, and also many other treatises like Viveka Chudamani, Aparoksha Anubhuti, and so forth. From all this huge literature, we are going to take an overview of his introductory commentary on the Brahma Sutras, or what is called Vedanta Sutras. And this understanding is very important for getting a clear picture of what is called the doctrine of non-dual Vedanta, the Advaita Vedanta. It is very important to see this doctrine in the light both as philosophy as well as practice. And I myself personally have found it is very beneficial for the aspirants of realizing the ultimate truth. It brings forth in a very masterful style. The style is very, very sublime and very powerful presentation, and yet the words are very minimum. You won't see in this is a very short treatise, but this short treatise just about maybe will not fill more than 3 pages. In these 3 pages, he has put the essence of this understanding of Vedanta, that how Vedanta looks at our goal and as well as the present situation that we are stuck in. And that analysis is very thorough, very scientific, and we will see it is kind of flawless. You don't see that you can point out a defect in its logic or presentation or the flow where it gradually leads to the conclusion in a very sublime manner. So we shall take it up in today's discussion. The next aphorism, next slide. It is called the thesis on superimposition. This little small commentary, because it tells you that it is the world that we are perceiving now. It is not the truth. That is why we have the learning process. We want to get educated. And do you see the meaning in this? If we already know the truth, do we need to get educated anymore? Why do we have schools and universities? Because we are struggling to know. We want to know, and we have a bit of this inkling in our heart that what we are seeing, what we are perceiving through our senses is not perfectly true. There is some truth in it, but it is not all truth. That is why we want to penetrate, we want to understand, we want to connect. So that is why there is some mistake in our understanding. Therefore, there is the need to correction. If there is no mistake at all, there is no need for correction either. So the correction is required because our experience, our understanding is a mixture of something that is correct and something that is not correct. That which is correct, that which is truth, is being superimposed by something that is not real. So it is a mixture that is coming to us. A superimposition will be described, therefore, and we will see in the next slide something more about it. That this emphatically presents the doctrine that the one without the second non-dual reality, without any change in it, is appearing as this world. The world experience is full of contradictions. If we look at our experience, this is an appearance because it keeps on changing. If we examine, we will see that everything is changing. In fact, we perceive only changes. We do not perceive anything but change. And change is what we perceive. And therefore, although we crave for something that does not change, that remains stable, and yet our perception is only that of change. It is appearing as this world, one without second reality, which does not undergo any change. The truth that is appearing as this world, and therefore you will see that this is all full of conflicts and contradiction. This world basically cannot be fixed. There is always the tendency in us, the need that let us make this world nice. But everything that we have here is balanced in a way by the counterpart of it. The conflict is in the constitution of our perception of this world. Like happiness, there is misery and happiness that go together. Without misery, there is no happiness either. They keep on coming again and again. Every person undergoes misery. There is no person in this world, howsoever you may pile pleasantries on that person, still there is no escape from misery, because the fact is that the very experience, very concept of pleasure depends on the concept of pain. The pain and pleasure, therefore, they are contradictory, but they come together. And Shankaracharya points out, please see the next aphorism, this basic idea in superimposition, that one thing appearing as another. It just changes. That is superimposition. And in this world we are aware that it happens. That in the commentary he has given actually some of the experiences, and many of you might not have that particular example, you are not familiar with. Like he says, Shuktika rajatamiva avabhasate, a mother of pearl looks like silver. Now, in most Americans have not seen a mother of pearl, that it is a seashell that looks very silvery. It actually, in that, the pearl grows. So, it looks from a distance like silver. But when you go close, then you realize it is not silver. And now what is it? When you approach, suddenly it changed from silver to mother of pearl. No, it was that mother of pearl, but you were seeing that as silver. Not that it underwent any change in the process. Your perception changed, that's all. A common experience, again, I don't know how many Americans have undergone that. I have seen that many times happening because I lived for many years in an area where snakes used to be very often seen. So, and that fear of snake used to be there. So, if you see a rope, immediately you imagine it is a snake lying there, your heart starts palpitating faster, and then you get all those ideas. Should I now get a stick to kill the snake, or should I run away, or what should I do now? But if you go closer, then you realize that it was just a rope, and all those reactions of seeing the rope as snake, they instantaneously vanish. And not that in the process, in the middle of it, the snake itself changed and became a rope. No, you are sure that that didn't happen. Only the mistake was in your perception. So this is called superimposition. The rope is there, you superimpose the snake on it. And therefore your experience of snake did not last too much. It was not real. If you keep on looking at the snake, in a while you would have realized that, well, it is not making any movement. You may throw a little stone on it. That is what I had done. You throw a little stone there so that you know whether if it is snake, it will make a movement now. but it didn't make any movement. So the snake, then you understand it cannot be snake. And your experience therefore, because although it had some characteristics of snake, it didn't have all the characteristics of snake. So you understand then that it is not a snake, it is rope. So there you saw that the rope was superimposed by the perception of snake. So one thing appearing as another. It is, and the most glaring example in our life of this, on which everything that we do gets based, is then shown that what happens here. Please show the next slide. I appearing as you. It is the I then that starts appearing as you, and you start as appearing as I. This is the commonest confusion that we have, the biggest superimposition. And we get so much used to this that we even do not understand that this is a mistake unless we start analyzing. As we analyze, we clearly see it. For example, we know that I is an unchanging reality. And all our interactions, our life is based on this very solid assumption that I does not change. It is, for example, you decided that you will come for this Sunday service, today's program to Vedanta Society. You decided that. And then the one who decided came here. If in this process you know that I decided and I came. I got into my car or whatever and then came here. If somebody tells you, no, somebody decided and you came, you will just simply laugh at it. It is I who decided. I had planned it long back. I had also emailed to Swami that I will be coming. And then that very person came. But in the meantime, body was undergoing constant change. The thoughts were undergoing constant change. Everything that you call as yourself, it was not same. It was in continuous flux. And yet I am unchanging something. I that does not undergo any change gets superimposed by the changing body and mind, and therefore we start the two types of superimpositions. I getting superimposed by a body, and a body getting superimposed by I. The body is really you. If you see, it is an object of perception, not the perceiver. Just as I am seeing this microphone in front of me, I am seeing my hand, my body too. So it is not the perceiver, but the perceived. Do we get this right? The body is perceived, not the perceiver. What does it mean? It is not I, but the world, like you, it is you. This should be addressed as you. As it, I have seen small kids doing this, when they do not see the distinction, the I and you in that manner. So, they just as they call they hear that they are being addressed by others as baby, this baby, give this to the baby. And so when the little baby wants something, that baby also says, hey, the baby wants this. It won't say, I want this, because that distinction hasn't become still concretized. So it is being addressed as if it is that something. So the body is an object. The mind also is really an object, not a subject. We say that my mind. What does it mean? It is like my book, my house. It is not I house. It is my house. Similarly, it is my means it is not I. It is something different. It is an object of perception. We see, therefore, I saw this thought arising in my mind. So it is an object of perception. And yet we mistake it for I. If the body has come to Vedanta society, we say, I had gone to Vedanta society. The body certainly came, but did you come? It depends now. What part of you came and what didn't. The self never goes anywhere. There is no taking I from this place to that place. You can take only body. And whether mind comes with it or not, well, depends. It is not always glued to the body. The body may be in one place, the mind may be wandering in, say, body is here. The mind could be wandering on a baseball field. It is quite possible. So, that is so it is you, not I. Superimposition, I and you. So the body gets superimposed on self, self gets superimposed on body, and this confusion. And Shankaracharya begins his commentary by telling that how silly this confusion is. It cannot be, this superimposition also cannot be real. See, confusing a rope for a snake is understandable because of the similarities. That length and then that curvy nature, and that may make somebody confuse a rope for a snake. But look, this I and you, their characteristics are completely opposite. And still we confuse them. You cannot say that, well, I confuse this chair for snake. Nobody would do that. The chair has no similarity to speak of with the snake. The rope could be confused for a snake. But this self and that you, I and you, their characteristics are completely opposite of each other. I, the knower, you, the known. I, it is unchanging, you, the constant change. They have opposite characteristics, and still this confusion, this superimposition, Shankaracharya says, this is the matter of fact. Naisargikoyam loka vyavharaha. Very beautiful words. That this is a natural behavior of all the people in ignorance. You have to exclude those few very honorable exceptions, those who have realized the truth. It is not true with Sri Ramakrishna. For him or Shankaracharya, there is no confusion there. But for almost all others, this is the case, that superimposition is the basis of all our actions. We base everything on this misunderstanding, and that is how we move in confusion. That becomes the source of our bondage and sufferings. So this contradiction is a matter of experience. It is a matter of fact, not a matter of theorization or cogitation. We cannot say that, well, I agree with it or I don't agree with it. You may agree with an explanation of it or disagree with that explanation, but the facts are not open for such agreeing or not disagreeing. I may say that I like more salt or less salt, or I don't like salt at all. But I cannot dispute that the salt has this particular taste. That doesn't depend on my judgment. What Shankaracharya, not exactly in this commentary, but in other commentaries, he has used these words very beautifully, that these things are Vastu Tantra, not Purusha Tantra. Means Vastu Tantra means that they are decided by that object itself. Your personality has no role to play in it. It is the matter of fact that our life is based on this superimposition. He gives many examples of that. But before seeing those, a doubt is presented here. The doubt is presented because we do not like to accept this idea that are we such fools and we are not seeing the things right? What do you mean? I understand, I know, I am a PhD or whatever, how can I be a dumb fellow to perceive things in such a mistaken manner? No, so we bring an argument. Please, next slide. That the superimposition, we say that it is because of the memory we superimpose that object from memory on something that is real. That is, I had previously seen a snake. Now, if there is a rope, my memory brings out that snake and then superimposes it on the rope. Had I never seen snake, that wouldn't have been possible. So, in that case, superimposition is understandable. But how can there be a superimposition of the all-pervading, ever-present, pure and perfect self on something that is all unreal? How can there be a superimposition between real and unreal, between the self and non-self? So you have to accept Shankaracharya ji. It is that opponent is, as it were, saying, Mr. Shankaracharya, there is a mistake in your this presentation. Either you understand, accept that the world and the self are two realities, so that then you can understand that one reality is being superimposed on another reality, like snake, something real, and rope, something else real, so that they are superimposing on each other. That sounds okay. So here also we won't have much problem in understanding what you are saying if you accept that this world also is real. Because we keep all our pleasures in this world. We are attached to this world and therefore are not ready, not psychologically ready to accept this unreality of the world. Well, I have so many hopes in this world. I wanted to become a millionaire, and if the world is unreal, what will happen to that dream of mine? I wanted to get married to a spouse. I want to get, and then if this world is unreal, what will happen to all that? My hopes will be dashed. So this world is not unreal as such. There must be some reality to it. Therefore, that superimposition is possible. Our that attachment is bringing out the doubts. One great Swami who used to teach us the scriptures, he would say that these doubts, what is this doubt coming up when the truth is presented by the sage? Then what brings out the doubt, it is the Maya inside, the ignorance and attachment inside. That attachment, it gets a stick. Like if you hit a puppy, then the puppy will scream. So it is that sound, that noise is coming out in the form of this doubt. Our attachment is getting a whip, and so it doesn't like it, so it is screaming, and that scream comes out in such doubts against the truth. So it brings out this doubt that how can there be a superimposition. And Shankaracharya, next slide please, that says that there is no such rule. You are making up your rule. Look at the superimposition on the space, on the sky. You see that sky is blue, sky is red, sometimes it is yellow. The children, they superimpose all these things on the non-existent sky. There is nothing there. There is nothing palpable there, and yet what are you seeing really there? Are you seeing sky? Nobody sees sky. We see only the colors. The colors and the shape, other things that restrict the space, we see that. We don't see sky. And yet, we superimpose those colors. Children especially would say that, look, it is blue, it is grey, it is green, and so forth. So, therefore, the superimposition can happen. There are various ways in which superimposition could happen, but he underscores one fact there, that in all cases, this principle remains the same, that one thing appears as something else. That principle remains intact. One thing appears as something else. And he says that is what is happening here. The next slide, please. The superimposition is, if we see that all our actions, they depend on this superimposition. We take it for granted in everything. Shankaracharya says that even what is called pramana prameya vyavahara, all our matters of causation, that I know and that is the object of known, that depends on this superimposition. That you superimpose I, the knower, on the mechanism of getting knowledge, like my sense organs, my mind, and then on some object you superimpose that it is the object of knowledge. And so this becomes possible in that case. You take for that on the basing on this superimposition alone, all this becomes possible, and therefore this superimposition is the cause of being trapped. Being trapped. Swami Vivekananda, in his three very masterly discourses in Jnana Yoga book on Maya, has given very touching descriptions of how every part of our life is embroiled in this Maya. Everything, what we call our love, it is in Maya. Our pleasures and pains, they are in Maya. Our learning, our education, that also is in Maya. All this is, he therefore says, Vivekananda says, echoing this, that this is a matter of fact, that it is Maya, is a statement of fact. He says it is not a theory, it is not an explanation as how it happens. Because if you try to explain how it happens, that also is in Maya. There is no escape from that. Everything that you try to explain, that also is in Maya. This is not an explanation, this is a matter of fact. This is a statement of fact. And so, if we understand that this is superimposition, then we have a great advantage. What advantage it is? One fact of superimposition is that your wrong perception actually does not affect the thing. Because I saw the rope as snake, the rope did not get affected by my perception. It remained all the time as rope. In superimposition, the superimposed does not undergo any actual change whatsoever. What does it mean? Is our self is ever free, ever pure, ever blissful, ever perfect. This superimposed conflict, bondage, impurity, suffering does not touch the self at all. So, we do not need to say that how am I now to realize this truth. I have been living this life for such a long time, and now to go back will be so difficult. I have been living the life of attachment for such a long time. And do we say that for 1 year I have been seeing this rope as snake, and so now how can I see it as rope? Well, it is saying like that. I had been thinking of myself mistakenly as somebody's, this man's son, this woman's son, and related to this person and that person. For a long time we did this, but that doesn't make it real at all. Just as in dream, you connect to so many people. When you wake up, any of that, does it work? It does not. It is like that. That you form connections, you form bonds, you live your life on the basis of that. Does it make it real? It does not. We have to realize the truth and see that as using our own language, Jesus said that God is my Father, I am Son of God. I am Son of God because that is what I am. It is a mistaken identity that I am son or daughter or some of this man and that woman. It is a very temporary mistaken identity. Works in a context, that's all. But that is not the reality. That is why Jesus is said to be the only Son of God. Why only? Because he alone knows it. He doesn't say that I am born of Mary and Joseph. I am born of God. God is the reality. I am Son of God. If we say that, we also have the same right. Our true nature also has not been tarnished at all. Because this superimposed does not get affected by whatever is superimposing on it. And therefore, take heart. Be confident. Don't be weeping. Vivekananda therefore says, we have wept for a long time. And that, oh, why God made me like this is just superimposition. Be strong. Tell that you are divine. The divinity is your true nature. You are the self, which is beyond time and space. You have superimposed time and space and causation and all that on this self. Self does not undergo any change. And he says then, next please. This superimposition being the cause, they say, therefore he says, removing the superimposition will restore that oneness. It is restoring, it is getting back what is actually ours. It is by realizing God does not mean that something else comes to us. There was one incident, very illuminating incident. Sri Ramakrishna's one great disciple, Swami Shivananda, he was called Mahapurush because of the tremendous depth of his knowledge. Vivekananda used to call him Mahapurush. So you are a great soul. That is the meaning of this word Mahapurush. So he was being told in much later in his old age that this particular monk is doing a lot of performing lot of austerities, doing lot of spiritual practices. And he said, good, and said, well, what he will get by that? Nothing new. What he actually is, he will get it. That's it. That is the process. What you already have, you just discover it. You just know it, that's all. Something that was already with you, but you were not finding it, and just suddenly, someday or while looking here and there, you found it. So it was with you, and you didn't go to buy it. It was with you, you discovered it. So we are the self is to be discovered. And so, please, the next one. So removing this superimposition will make us free. And what else? It is when we realize our true self, what is there to be now done? This is a very important question, friends. And it is a great teaching that whatever else we get in life, we will not be satisfied. There will be always then the question, what next? That, well, I have graduated now from the school. I have gotten my master's or whatever degree. Now what next? That question is still there. What next? I must get a great big job now, or I must get into some business. Okay, you did that. What next? What next? What next? This question will always be there, whatever other things you get in life. I want to get some kids. Okay, you got it. Then what next? It keeps on growing like that. You are never satisfied because the satisfaction is only in realizing this self. One Swami was giving a lecture when I used to be a student in university. And then after his lecture was on this topic, similar topic, and then when he said that thus you realize your true self, one of the students, a brilliant student, asked him the question that, well, suppose somebody realizes this truth and then becomes omnipresent, full of bliss and so forth, what next? What next? Suppose somebody becomes like this, what next? And the Swami said that what next is there now? you are fully satisfied. Whatever you wanted, that is completely now gotten by you. It is only by this question, what next, gets answered, and by nothing else. The craving otherwise will never be fulfilled. That is why it is being told by scriptures, realize God. Sri Ramakrishna was never tired of repeating this again and again. When you read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you see this sentence coming again and again, that God realization is the goal of life. The goal. There is no other goal possible for us, because other things, if we take as goal, are not going to satisfy us. That question will still remain, what next? I got this, what next? But if you realize the self, then there is nothing more to be done. As Mundak Upanishad says, that what happens, that Shiyante chasya karmani, that person now doesn't need to do anything. All that he needed to do has been taken care of, has been done. The life is now fulfilled. That is why, that is the goal of life. And then this is to be achieved, as the sages have told. This superimposition, Shankaracharya says, is the only cause for all this problem that we are facing. That is why Vedanta emphatically says that by knowledge you are liberated, because ignorance is the cause of bondage. Since ignorance is the cause of bondage, what can liberate you? Knowledge is going to liberate you. Not, and it is told so emphatically that look, you may be doing thousands of sacrifices. You may be spending all your time in maybe repeating some secret formula. You may be going to all the temples in the world and prostrating before all the 330 millions of the deities that Hindus say that they have. Still, if you do not realize the truth, there is no liberation, there is no achieving the goal of life. If these things help you in getting knowledge, they are good. Then they are religious practices. If not, then they are again adding more and more by bondage, piling more bondage. So Shankaracharya in this points out that look, that is how the sages have been telling us. Let us achieve it as the sages have. He says at the end of this commentary that therefore asya heto prahanartham sarve veda arabhyante sarvani cha shastrani cha, that all scriptures, and what are these scriptures? They are the utterances, the guidance given by the sages. It is something very similar that if a person is suffering from a disease and you know the medication for that disease because you had the same problem and that medicine cured you, then you tell that person, look, I don't want to interfere, but look, I had the same problem. And then I took this medication and it went away. I see you are suffering. I don't want you to suffer. Therefore, I am suggesting this to you. That is the scriptures. The scriptures are, the sages, they have gone beyond all sufferings. They have gone beyond these contradictions. They have realized the truth and they are telling us the way that each of us also will be able to do that. Each of us has the possibility, equal possibility of realizing the truth. There is no higher and lower in that, friends. Every person, each of us, has equal possibility. That is why we want equality, is it not? That craving for equality. We are all equal. Where are we equal? Are we equal in our heights? No, we are not. Are we equal in our weights? No. Are we same in our financial conditions? No. Are we equal in our nationalities? Maybe here most of us, but not everywhere. People will have. So, where are we equal? Where are we equal? We are equal in this fact that we are all actually, truly the same self. And so we have the equal right to realize our true self and thus go beyond all sufferings. We try to go beyond sufferings. Nobody wants to be in the suffering. Even minor suffering, we don't want to keep it. Even if I have the toothache that tells me to go to the dentist, get rid of the suffering. So we don't want to suffer. And what is the way to do that? Get this knowledge. Realize this. And thus we become free from suffering, realize our goal. And this is what he says, that in all these coming aphorisms in Vedanta, this is being explained. That is why this chapter, Superimposition, just an introduction. One great writer on Shankaracharya says it is humility of Shankaracharya that he calls his writings as commentaries. Really, they are independent treatises, but he calls them commentaries because he is expounding the scriptures. So, this part of this commentary, very small, and yet we just took a short overview of it, and we could have discussed it for many classes threadbare, but this is enough for our understanding today and for observation of this Shankaracharya's birthday, this special service today. So thank you very much.